Hey, good evening. Kathy Beatty here with Divorce Support Anonymous, coming to you Friday Night Live, wanting to stop by for just a minute in your life, give you some hope, some encouragement, some real help, some practical help. I always want to be really practical because I know that's where you really need the help. And so I want to talk to you today about a topic that's near and dear to my heart, and that's advice from a divorce coach. So I have been in the divorce world for the past 15 years, working with hundreds of men and women going through the trauma of divorce. So I've led support groups, and I'm also a divorce coach and a domestic mediator. So tonight I wanted to just give you some helpful tips, some advice to help you as you go through this very messy, very frightening experience called divorce. Before we jump into it, of course, I want to let you know that I would love for you to be part of this conversation. Send me a text at this number or comment here, realizing this is broadcast into my public page and also to the private group page. So I just want you to be aware of that. But you are certainly welcome to send me some great questions or comments. I would love that. Another announcement, September 14th, my next support group begins, and that is here in the Grand Rapids area. If you are interested and nearby, connect with me. I'll get you a registration form, and we will take care of the healing business. Also on September 15th, no matter where you are in the universe, as long as you have internet connection, I am going to begin another virtual support group. So this is going to be really helpful for those of you who really want to deal with this very, very privately, anonymously. So I've had people from all over the country as we come together and do the virtual support group. But the point is you need that support. You need to get it. So we're going to start this night at 7 o'clock in the evening. Then as a group, we're going to decide what time works best for all of the group. We'll get a consensus here, and then we'll adapt to that time, whichever works for you. I like to do it later in the evening because we can put the babies to bed, the children to bed, and gives you a moment to still be home, but to get the support that you need. So those are three of the announcements. Before I begin this, one of my practices being a divorce coach is getting you information when you first begin the journey of divorce. So I have prepared this workbook, Preparing for Mediation. And this is a great tool before you go and meet with your attorney for the first time. It gives you lists, checklist. It guides you through what to expect in a mediation. What do I need to get together? And it's really, really helpful because what happens when you go and meet with your attorney for the first time, you're going to spend the first hour telling the situation. That's just natural. We want to bring the attorney up to date. And the next hour you're going to spend, he or she is going to tell you, okay, here's what we need. We need W-2s, we need retirement, all of those things that are within this book. And the thing about being in an attorney's office and doing that is they're charging average about $350 an hour. So this resource is at no cost. I have sent out so many of them. Would love to send one out to you if you were beginning this process. Because what you can do is you get all of this information together, you go to your attorney, you're prepared. And you are going to save yourself a lot of time, energy, and money, because you're going to have to do those things that are listed in this workbook. You're going to have to do them. So if you do them ahead of time and when you're not on the clock, it really is helpful. So that's my goal. My work is to get you through this divorce with the least amount of damage, emotionally, spiritually, financially. And that's what I do. And this little workbook is one of the tools that I do provide. And my first hour consultation as a divorce coach, there's no cost. We'll sit together. You can get to know me a little bit. I can get to know you a little bit and see if I could be of help to you. I love the divorce coaching. And the reason I do is because it really does empower the participants, the folks that I work with. It empowers them as they go through, because they know what to expect when they go into a mediation room. They know what to expect, what to take to the attorney, the questions you need to ask the attorney. A lot of people are just unaware, as they should be, right? Because they've never experienced the divorce before. And it's true for those of you going through your second divorce. There are some things you need to perhaps be reminded of or need to know. So that resource is there. I'm available as a divorce coach. So I want to start giving you some words of advice. And again, if you want to comment, you are certainly welcome to do that. But these are the things that I have noticed as a divorce coach that people waste a lot of time and money doing. So my first piece of advice this evening is don't use your attorney as a coach or a counselor. That is a mistake many people do. And so if you go to an attorney and you sit down with them, he or she is going to listen to your story, but they're not your counselor. And counselors are much less expensive than what you would pay an attorney. A divorce coach is probably less expensive than a counselor. So use a divorce coach for the purpose that they are, and I'll explain more of that later, what I do, and also find your counselor, a real counselor who's going to help you, and a group support, of course. I highly recommend, I love groups because they're just so incredibly helpful. And I've had people say to me, this was more helpful to me than a counselor. Why? Because I think you can hear other people articulate your pain and you realize that you're not alone. And other people are not only understand what you're going through, they're going through it too. So your attorney is there to protect you legally and to fight for you if necessary. Now, I'm a huge fan of mediation, of course, because I'm a mediator, because I've seen how effective they can be when you have parties come together who are willing to cooperate with each other, and they have the power to make the decision. And your attorneys are there to guide you. Sometimes it's without attorneys, but you have the opportunity to make the decisions how your future is going to go, instead of standing in front of a judge. He or she is looking over the information and they will determine how the rest of your life is going to go. And it may not be pleasing to you or your spouse. So don't use your attorney for any other purpose than what he or she is. Of course, they're going to do some coaching for you, but I can help you further. So use your attorney for the legal matters. Use a coach for those areas that you need to express, which is a great next segue into my next piece of advice. You don't need to tell the stories in intricate detail. I know that there are many details that go on with these stories as you're going through divorce. But again, if you're in an attorney's office and you're spending an average of $350 an hour, you should not be giving them all of this intricate detail. Now, if you want to do that with me, that's fine. If you want to do that with a coach, that's fine. It's going to cost you, I think I figured it out to be about 18% of what an attorney would. So you can see how beneficial it would be. Now you may ask, but Doesn't my attorney need to know all these details to get the picture? Your attorney's very smart. He's dealt with a lot of situations. He needs to know those important details that are going to help him understand how to stand up for you and how to direct you. He doesn't need to know that, well, he came up to the door and then his brother-in-law came up to the door and, all of that gory stuff that you probably need to release in a support group or with a divorce coach, not with an attorney. So don't tell them. In fact, you don't even need to tell me a lot of intricate details as your coach, but just tell me what I need to know. That's going to help you. That's going to help you. If you need to do the detail, then you have support group and you have counseling that is going to allow you to do that. And attorneys will too, but they're costing you a fortune to use in that manner. So don't tell intricate detail. Tell the facts that are necessary to support what you're trying to convey. Number 3, don't try to convince me or your attorney that you're not at fault. And this is just a natural thing that many people do, that they want it known that you're the one, you didn't make this choice. You're the one who is the victim, if you want to call it that, which is never a healthy word. Even here, not a healthy word, because you have plenty of opportunity when it comes to divorce to develop a beautiful life beyond it. So you are temporarily suspended from peace and structure and finances and everything else. But so it doesn't really matter if you're the good guy or the bad guy. It doesn't really matter to your attorney if you're the good guy or the bad guy. Don't try to convince me, because quite honestly, I'm here to support you. And if you were the one who had just a lot of issues and made a lot of mistakes, well, first of all, welcome to the human race. But second of all, I'm going to coach you through that, and I'm going to get you to a place to where you're not hung up on your mistakes that you made. We've all made mistakes. You're not going to shock your attorney. You're not going to shock me, because in the past 15 years, I've heard stories that you couldn't write a soap opera that was more peculiar than the stories that I've heard over the past 15 years. So don't try to convince me, because also all 50 states in the United States allow no-fault divorce. There are 17 specifically who are termed no-fault divorce that perhaps is a little easier to get through than the other states, but all 50 states, according to the source that I looked up, all 50 states allow no-fault divorce. Therefore, you don't have to prove that you're not at fault. You just have to say, I want this divorce, or you just have to say, I don't want this divorce, but I'm going to pursue the assets that I need to continue my life and not be penniless. So you don't need to convince me. And quite honestly, I don't think you'll meet anyone who is less judgmental than I am. Maybe it's because I made a few mistakes of my own. I don't know. And especially in divorce, we can do some wacky things because we're so hurting. So you don't need to convince me you're not the one at fault, or you had good reason for leaving the marriage. If you want to, that's fine. And if you must, then do it in the proper place, not in your attorney's office, with your coach, with your therapist, or in your support group. Next is, you don't need all this arsenal to prove your case. And I'm thinking of one person individually who gave me all of this information and all of this. And this person had recorded all of this evidence. And, she was building quite the case. It's not necessary. It's not necessary. What you're going to do in this divorce is you're going to divide the assets, you're going to divide the debts, you're going to co-parent, set up a co-parenting schedule if you have children. That's what you're going to do. You don't need all that stuff. Now, if you're going to go to trial, if you're going to go into the courts, then perhaps you'll need all that stuff, but you don't want to go there. Trust me, you don't want to go there. You want to get this resolved through mediation as much as possible, because you don't want to spend an extra $10,000 taking it into the court. You want to get this settled and done as efficiently as possible. And to do that, you don't need arsenal. You don't need all those stories, all of that dirty detail. What you do need to have is a smart business sense. Because unfortunately, what your marriage has boiled down to is a business transaction. And I know that sounds so cold and so harsh, but it's the truth. So you, as you proceed through divorce, and as I prepare the people that I work with to go through divorce, you need to deal in the facts. You need to have your best business sense hat on and get this settled. So you don't need arsenal to prove your case. And number 5, how can a divorce coach help you? What do I do? I am really beginning to appreciate this aspect of my divorce work, most of all, because I get to be with you individually. I get to prepare you for what's coming next. I get to help you find those questions you need to ask your attorney. Because if you've never been here before, you show up at the attorney's office and you just start spewing all this stuff. I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you prepare for meeting your attorney for the first time. I'm going to give you some great questions to ask. I'm going to help you with this workbook, getting everything together. And I'm going to let you know, no, that's not important for your case. You don't need to spend all your time and energy on that. Here's what you need to be focusing on. This is what you need to do. That's my role as a coach. And not only does it save you time, energy, and money, it gives you power to step through this very difficult and messy transition. You are going to feel empowered. You're going to say, I know what to expect. Divorce coach told me that was going to happen. It happened. Divorce coach told me these were my options. And I can see what those options are. The divorce coach told me that I'm going to make it through this. I love to insert hope with the folks that I work with, because you need to know hope. You need to be able to see in front of you. And again, it's not going to cost you what it costs to see an attorney. But people don't know. And they have no idea what a divorce coach is. And so they don't check into it. I'd encourage you to check into it. If it's not me, someone else. And by the way, if you're through to the divorce and you're trying to redesign your life, that's what I do as well. I'm going to help you prioritize. One of my 3 books that I don't have right in front of me, put it back in my drawer, is Designing Your Future After Divorce. So we're going to look at every aspect of your future and your life, and we're going to have a plan. Now, when you work with me, there's not a contract that you have to stay with me for 18 weeks, 6 months, whatever. It's really on a need basis. So some people I work with maybe once a month. They get to a point to where I'm kind of stuck. I don't know what my options are. They'll connect with me. I'll spend some time with them. So yeah, you're not obligated for a year contract. There's no retainer fee at all. You just, whenever you decide you need some coaching, you just come on board and we'll chat for a while, Zoom or telephone, whatever is your preference. So we can do that. So just a couple, I want to end tonight just with a couple of great scriptures. Where there's strife, there's pride, but wisdom is found in those who take advice. Find those safe people that are going to give you advice and wisdom to hold on to. Where there is strife, I don't know of anywhere where there's more strife than in divorce. There's pride. Oh, there's a lot of pride. So that's another thing. You need to know how to approach if your spouse or soon-to-be former spouse is the narcissist, you need to know how to approach them. Or as I learn about who your spouse is and what their strengths are and what their weaknesses are, then we can set up a strategy. And that is very, very helpful. I would love to talk to you if possible. Absolutely. I don't see a name there. Just private message me, and I'd be more than happy to speak with you. That's what I do. And like I say, the first hour, it's not going to cost you anything. So where there is strife, there's pride, but wisdom is found in those who take advice. Really great, great verse. One more. Words from the mouth of the wise are gracious, but fools are consumed by their own lips. And many people get in trouble, but with their own lips, because they're uninformed and they don't know how to, what can I say, play this game. Because there are some strategic moves that you need to make as you're going through divorce in mediation, or with your attorney, or with your spouse. So words from the mouth of the wise are gracious, but fools are consumed by their own lips. Don't be consumed by your own lips, by the things that you say, that you do, because you're freaking out, because things are so frightening for you. And that happens. People are terrified, and so they try to take matters into their own hands and they screw it up further. So another reason why you need a coach. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. Don't be a fool as you go through divorce. Listen to wisdom, to instruction, and the fear of the Lord. Involve God in this process. The fear, that term there, don't think of someone you should run away from because he's so big and frightening. Fear is respect and awe, because God can make incredible things happen, provide for you the wisdom that you need to get through this journey of divorce. So I know we went a little long tonight, 22 minutes. Wow. Thank you for those of you who stayed with me, and I look forward to speaking with any of you or to coach you into the future as you go through the trauma of divorce. Kathy Beatty, Divorce Support Anonymous. Have a good evening.